Welcome, everyone, to the PFF Fantasy Podcast IDP edition. I'm John Macri, and as you know, there's no season like rookie season, and we've been pumping out the rookie content here in the channel nonstop, it feels like, and today is going to be no different as we'll be diving into the 2025 rookie edge class, giving our thoughts on landing spots, draft capital, IDP potential, where we should value them in rookie drafts, and so much more. So let's get it. All right, there are so many interesting edges to cover today and a lot of different ways to project these guys for IDP, so I couldn't possibly do it alone, and that is why, back on the show, the greatest edge there could be when it comes to evaluating these defensive linemen for IDP from Football Guys, the legend that is Joey the Tooth. Joey, what's up, brother?
Not much, man. Hell of an intro. I appreciate it.
Oh, no. Well deserved, man. I always look forward to these rookie episodes. I know I say that every episode. People are probably sick of hearing it, but I really do love talking these rookie edges and linebackers and safeties, and getting to talk with you and Kyle and Glosser and covering this stuff every year. It's one of my favorite parts of the season, so I'm glad that we get to do it again coming out of the NFL draft. And yeah, man, how did you enjoy the draft? We haven't talked too much other than prepping this episode, so yeah, how are you feeling?
I was okay.
Yeah. 49ers fan, yeah.
Yeah, as a 49ers fan, I was okay, especially considering everything I said pre-draft. So,
right. Yeah, we'll get into that for sure.
There's some interesting landing spots, though. Some I really liked. Some I'm a little, I don't want to say confused, but I figured some guys would go a little earlier. Some guys slid a little farther than I thought they would. But all in all, it wasn't really any that I was like, oh, wow, that's great. And there really wasn't any that I was like, well, that stinks, except for one.
Yeah, this is kind of always the case, right? I was telling Kyle the same thing. We, pre-draft, we talk, we kind of have these ideal landing spots in our head for a lot of our favorite prospects and stuff, and it never seems to go that way. There's always these weird kind of landing spots that we're going to have to navigate a little bit more than what we kind of hoped, especially for IDP, right? And I don't think this year was any different, man. Linebackers, edges, safeties, it's all, there's all these kind of landmines to sort through here and hope that we can find the guys that are going to hit for us, and there's probably going to be some that don't, right? So
right.
Yeah, there's a lot to cover. We're going to go through these edge defenders in the order basically that they were drafted in the NFL draft. We're going to discuss the landing spots, what we think of them for IDP. Are they going to be hits this year? Will we have to be patient, or should we even bother drafting them? All those things that we're going to kind of discuss today. So Joey, what do you say we get into it here? Give the people what they came to hear about our 2025 rookie edge rushers, and we'll start at the top with the third overall pick in this year's draft, Abdul Carter. Joey, Carter was far and away our top edge pre-draft. I doubt any landing spot was going to change that post-draft, but things are at least somewhat crowded in New York. Any concerns for you with Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns coexisting for IDP purposes?
I mean, it might be difficult for IDP purposes, at least for a year. I wouldn't be surprised if Thibodeau doesn't take a step this year if he hits the block somehow midseason, because they were expecting a lot from him, and he showed some promise, but he hasn't really blossomed into the player they were hoping he was going to be. Still, I mean, the Giants, they went best player available pretty much. That's what they did. And if they can take a page out of what the Cowboys were doing a few years back, where they had multiple capable pass rushers, maybe start getting some of these guys on the field together more. I mean, you don't really need another big man next to Dexter Lawrence. Thibodeau could probably slide inside, and you can have your two speed rushers on the edge with Carter and Brian Burns, and then have Thibodeau and Lawrence on the inside, and think about the pass rushing possibilities there. I mean, if Thibodeau if he can show his strength, because he was always very strong. He had great power. So if he could just maybe move to the inside a little bit, just to see all four of those guys on the field at the same time is something I'd really love to see. Whether they do it or not, who knows? But
Yeah, it definitely feels possible, right? Like on those like obvious passing downs to set up a package where you have, yeah, Carter, Burns, Thibodeau, and even Dexter Lawrence when, assuming he's healthy, right? Like that would be a pretty nice package to put together
Right.
to throw at opposing quarterbacks, right? And yeah, I'm with you. Like I think, for this year, probably a little bit crowded, but I don't really have any concerns about Carter long term with the Giants. Obviously, we talked about the level of prospect that Carter is pre-draft, on par with the guys like Will Anderson and Aiden Hutchinson and many other top 5 picks in the NFL draft. Like he's that good. But even like short term, like yes, Thibodeau, he is still there as of right now. I don't think he's necessarily bound to be like a long term option there, considering the investment in Carter and really just kind of the ordinary play of Thibodeau through the first 3 years of his career, right? Like you said, he's been productive at times, but as far as his play to play consistency and effectiveness, that hasn't really been up to par with like a top 5 pick or even, top 20 edge rushers in the NFL. So you can, dive into the NFL pass rush metrics for Thibodeau to see what I'm talking about there to get more context. But with Carter, there's a newer, younger, potentially better model to kind of take over as that future defensive line for a prospect for the Giants. So yeah, it like if Carter doesn't get a workhorse, workload in year one, I wouldn't be surprised. But at the same time, I don't think it'll be a long until he at least pushes Thibodeau to the background, similar to how Thibodeau did to Azeez Ojulari, right? Carter
Right.
is, yeah, it's a similar kind of situation. Carter's just too talented, I think, to kind of be kept buried on the depth chart. And considering the investment again, like he'll be an IDP option, I think, in 2025, even if he doesn't have that top 12 potential as a rookie until future years. Like it won't be long before he gets there. So for me, he's a late first round pick in rookie drafts, just
Mhm.
considering, the potential hit rate with Carter based on his model score and profile, right? Like 43% of edge prospects to score 9 or higher in the edge model have gone on to become top 12 IDPs for their position. And we're still waiting on Aiden Hutchinson and Will Anderson to add to that. Carter scored a 9.31. So 86% who have had at least a 9 have become top 24. So the potential hit rate to me, like it's just too high to ignore, and it can't go later than the first round in rookie drafts, in my opinion, because nobody else in that range is going to have as high of a potential fantasy success rate as that. So still pretty high on Abdul Carter coming out of the draft for sure.
Yeah, and with the offensive side not being as prominent this year in rookie drafts, it's not a reach by any means going in the first round for Abdul Carter. And just because he's a rookie and Thibodeau's been there, it doesn't mean Thibodeau's guaranteed the starting job. Like if Carter comes into camp and he fits in perfectly and he just shows out from day one, it doesn't mean, hey Thibodeau, you've been here for a few years, we're going to give you a shot. They're going to go with who's the best player.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And look, Carter, I think is absolutely capable of being the best player, even over Brian Burns, right? Like
Right.
he looks that good coming out of college. Obviously, you don't want to project a rookie to necessarily be the best player on the defense right away, but he's 100% capable of being that sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.
Um, all right, Joey, let's move on to the second edge drafted by your San Francisco 49ers. And I won't include Jalen Walker in here today because we talked about him in the linebacker episode. So technically, the 49ers take the second edge, Mykel Williams out of Georgia, who I know you were not crazy about pre-draft,
Mm,
Joey. So maybe I'll let you lead off here
mm.
since this is your team. I'm sure you have some thoughts you'd like to get out there, so I won't make you wait.
I was not a fan of Williams at all pre-draft. Like, I mean, he seems to lack polish. He wasn't as explosive as everybody was hoping, but he does have that physical frame of an NFL edge defender, 6'5", 265. And he has tools. He just needs coaching. Like he obviously needs coaching, but he needs to be able to reach his potential. Having Robert Saleh back and the fact that Saleh endorsed him and decided to make him the 11th pick overall. I mean, when Saleh was there before, they won in the trenches. They won with their defensive line. So the fact that he chose Mykel Williams over all of these other edge defenders and interior defensive linemen leads me to believe that through his scouting, he was the best player available. I trust Saleh over me, so I'm gonna put my faith in Saleh right now. My issue with Williams is he just did not show the polish that you would hope for an early first round, almost top 10 overall pick coming into the draft. So he's going to get snaps right away. That's the thing. Like Leonard Floyd's gone, so they need some, and he's going to have pretty much free reign because he's going to be playing across from Nick Bosa. So
Yeah.
it's a good landing spot for Williams. It's a great landing spot, and he has a great defensive coordinator. So I'm going to hold myself to be cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to look at it, right? Like I'm with you in that, like I too wasn't crazy about Williams pre-draft, at least for IDP, because he does figure to be more of a long-term kind of developmental prospect that is, going to take a while before I think we can trust him as a consistent fantasy option. You look at the pass rush metrics for his college career, 24th percentile pass rush grade, 13th percentile win rate, 30th percentile pressure rate, like nothing that is encouraging. And, in fact, most of it is kind of discouraging, but he does own a 92nd percentile run defense grade. I think there's a way to kind of spin that positively where, getting drafted as high as he did on a team that will require him to play a ton and has had success developing defensive linemen, like he should get some run on early downs and at least give him like a decent production floor with some tackles and anything else that he could provide as a pass rusher. So, obviously he didn't score as well in the prospect model, 6.83, which was 57th percentile, gives them like a 15% success rate for top 12. But it's important to note, like we're using the model, like not as a locked in ranking system, but just more of a guide to help us steer in the right direction as far as expectations at the next level. So I still have Williams within my top 5 edge rushers because of the draft capital, the potential snaps as early as his rookie season, the landing spot, like just being with the 49ers too, with, like you mentioned, with Robert Saleh and that defense, like he might be an immediate starter ahead of Drake Jackson and company, right? So when it comes to rookie drafts, he's more in that kind of middle to late third round range for me at best, like not quite near Abdul Carter, a late first round rookie pick, even if they weren't separated by that much in the actual NFL draft. I think, a way to kind of balance that draft capital and expectations for what he can be in the NFL, that taking time is to put him more in that third to fourth round range of rookie drafts for me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I'm not going to reach for him, but if he falls to a favorable spot in the draft, I have no problem taking him. And again, I feel like the wide receiver class this year is a lot thinner than it's been in the past. And even with running back, there was a lot of depth, but the landing spots for a lot of them weren't really favorable for at least for fantasy football. For teams, sure, they were very favorable. It's like, oh, great, it's a good steal. I mean, now we have a good group of guys, but for fantasy football, none of them were really overly favorable. So,
yeah, it makes sense, right? And being aware of your scoring settings and things like that are always important, right? So he's going to be listed as a defensive end or an edge on most sites. So it makes sure that your scoring makes sense to take him where I'm mentioning third, fourth round, but that generally is where I kind of tend to like him. So
yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next edge drafted this year, which was Shemar Stewart going to the Cincinnati Bengals with the 17th overall pick in round 1, of course. So the Bengals, much like the 49ers, like are definitely in need of like another good edge to kind of play opposite their star pass rusher, right? And both teams went for kind of a similar athletic developmental archetype versus more like immediate impact players, which I get, but I think for those teams like in those win now windows, I feel like James Pearce Jr. or Mike Green could have been more effective sooner, but I get why they'd go this route as well, right? So I worry a little bit with Shemar Stewart and like these uber athletic types that they don't always work out either. We talked about it pre-draft, but the edge prospects who scored below the 65th percentile in the model, of which Stewart is 61st percentile, and have at least a 9.3 RAS since 2016. We're looking at guys like Yaya Diaby, Jordan Willis, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, Isaiah Foskey, Taekwon Lewis, Marshawn Nealand, Emmanuel Ogba, Peyton Turner, Lorenzo Carter, Ben Banogu. So none of them have been like high-end IDP options just yet. And again, it's not to say that Stewart can't or won't get there, but it's at least, I think, important to kind of learn from the historic data and again, use it as a guide for how to not fall into the trap of overvaluing these types in our drafts. Like, so that does put Shemar Stewart closer to Mykel Williams for me than it does like Abdul Carter. So another one that I'm looking at more for that mid to late third round at kind of the earliest in rookie drafts. I think there's going to be some opportunity there for him to start. We'll see what happens with Myles Murphy, but obviously Sam Hubbard retiring, there was definitely a need there. And, maybe Shemar Stewart does get some starting snaps early on, but I do think he'll take a little bit more time before he's, a truly consistent and effective IDP for us. How do you feel about Stewart?
Yeah, I agree. I do think he fits right into a rotation to start. I mean, Sam Hubbard retires. Myles Murphy, what has he had, like 5 pressures his entire career?
I know.
So he hasn't panned out at all. And I was pretty high on Murphy too, so I'm pretty sad about that one.
Yeah.
So Sam Hubbard retires. Myles Murphy's been inadequate at best. Joseph Osai, he played well last year, but still he's not like eye-popping material. Trey Hendrickson's still not signed. They still haven't signed him.
Yeah, he's looking for the contract, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on, what they're going to end up doing. I mean, I don't see how you don't give a guy with back-to-back 17.5 sack seasons the contract he's looking for. I understand you just shed out a ton of money on the offensive side of the football. But what it says to me is they looked at Stewart as somebody who can be an impact player right away. Right? So he also has the size. They've lacked really – they've had B.J. Hill, who's been solid on the inside, but he doesn't really offer you anything in pass rush. Not that Stewart really has in college, but he has the athletic tools to do it, and at least to be disruptive and to open up the edge for the guys, collapse the pocket maybe a little bit. Maybe he doesn't be as productive, but maybe he's a better NFL player than he is IDP player. But I think he fits in almost instantly into a rotation with that team. And depending on what happens to Hendrickson, it could be a pretty heavy role. But I think if and when, I do expect him to come back. If Hendrickson comes back, Stewart now, I believe, comes in. I think he'll beat out Myles Murphy just because of, I don't know, I think I've lost faith. But I think he can be the number 3 edge on the team behind Osai and Hendrickson. So that could lead him into a 40% snap share as a rookie. So I think late third, early fourth round is where I'm looking for Stewart.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like that he does have that kind of versatility as well, like you mentioned, where he can kick inside a little bit, play from, rush from the interior more than, some of the other guys who maybe don't have as much experience doing that. So that is like a nice trait for him to kind of get a little bit more snaps and because of that versatility. So yeah, I'm with you. I think, mid third to late late third to early fourth, I think is about where I have him as well. Okay, we have one more first round pick at the edge position, and one that the Atlanta Falcons felt they needed to trade up back into the first round to get, even spending a future first round pick. James Pearce Jr., who we both had in our top 3 for the position pre-draft, liked him quite a bit. I think there's still quite a bit to like about him. Where are you at with Pearce now post-draft, Joey?
Big fan still. The Falcons have needed pass rushing for how long now? I don't even remember. It's like I don't even remember who their most. Yeah, exactly. But he's fantastic. James Pearce is so good. Sure, there was character concerns, but the Falcons obviously did their due diligence. They gave away a first. They traded a first to get him. What I'm wondering is what they plan on doing with Jalen Walker.
Yeah.
Right. So, is he going to play edge? If he does, where does Pearce fit in, or is he going to play more off-ball linebacker? Because they just signed Leonard Floyd too. So you have Floyd, now Walker, and Pearce Jr. Are they just going to do this giant rotation, or does Walker play more off-ball? Because it's not like they have a stellar linebacker group. It's solid, but so I really need to see the preseason to see how it's going to pan out. But I'm still high on James Pearce, and he's probably the best pass rusher on this team right now. In my eyes, but they obviously like him too, considering, like you said, they traded a first to trade back into this first round for him. So I'm still high on him.
Yeah, same. I'm with you. Like, I think, not just maybe the best pass rusher on Atlanta right now. Like, he was one of the best pure pass rushers in this class, and the exact kind of player that I think the Falcons have desperately needed for a long time. Like you said, they've been starved for like an immediate impact pass rusher. They kept taking shots on, the day two and beyond developmental type prospects that just haven't been panning out enough to the point where they're making a huge difference in the team's pass rush ability. You also mentioned, that they added Jalen Walker in the first as well this year. Maybe projects more to be that kind of hybrid type player. I think we talked a little bit about him in the linebacker episode with Kyle, but like I wouldn't be surprised if he is their LB2, like next to Caden Ellis, and gets used on the edge on passing downs and because like Divine Diablo I don't think is an overly encouraging LB2 right now at this point in his career. So there's definitely room for both of these guys to kind of thrive. So Pearce, like to me, he's very much that kind of high-end potential sack artist that could finally have, give them their first double-digit sack player since Vic Beasley in 2016, right? So, I'm not even saying that like, Pearce will get there in year one, but he has like a definite shot to do it when, considering the elite pass rush metrics coming out of college. He ranked no worse than 95th percentile in pass rush grade, win rate, pressure rate, quick pressure rate. So I'm actually excited about this one. I had Pearce as edge 2 pre-draft, and I'm keeping him as edge 2 post-draft as well. Like as much as the Falcons' edges have seemed to kind of max out at like 6 sacks in a season, Pearce has a much higher ceiling, and I'm good investing in that for IDP, especially knowing how much Atlanta invested in him and how they need him to work out, right? Which should translate to IDP as well. Like even if it is more as a designated pass rusher role to start his career, he's going to get a lot of those opportunities to prove that he was worth that investment. So that probably puts him in that late round 2 draft range for me. Similar kind of rationale as with Carter, and that the potential success rate for a player of this caliber, like it's just going to be much better than most late round 2 picks. So don't want to push those potential fantasy points down the board too far. So I like him late round 2, early round 3.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm excited to see how they decide to plan their depth chart, right? You have Pierce, Leonard Floyd, and if you look at what we're projecting the top 2 inside linebackers, Jalen Walker and Christian.
Caden Ellis, yeah.
Caden Ellis, thank you. I was going to say Christian Ellis. I'm like, nope, not him. Caden Ellis. So Ellis and Walker are both good pass rushers in their own right. So I'm excited to see how aggressive Atlanta gets, because they haven't really had an aggressive defense in years. Now that you have your 2 main linebackers and 2 very potent edge defenders, I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah, they got some weapons to make it work, right? So yeah, I'm with you. I think it could be an exciting defense for once. Yeah, in Atlanta, but
or they just go pure Atlanta.
Yeah. Hopefully not. Let's move on to round 2 now, Joey. And the first edge taken in round 2, Donovan Ezeiruaku going to the Dallas Cowboys. He was getting mocked inside the first round at times before the draft. Doesn't fall too far as the Cowboys address a significant need at the position, taking Ezeiruaku here in round 2. I really like this landing spot. Now, I think I ranked Ezeiruaku a little too low pre-draft, if I remember correctly, because as much as I don't think that, the overall career pass rush metrics are anything more than ordinary for the position, like I should give him some more credit for a great 2024 season where he really broke out for the first time in college. Like, and, even though he has over 2,000 defensive snaps through 4 college season, he is just 21 years old as well, and looked really dominant this past season. 60 pressures, 14 sacks, 90.5 pass rush grade to go along with an 83.6 run defense grade and 90 overall grade. So again, career numbers typically more predictive than single season numbers for all positions, but I do find it promising that he had at least one of those high end seasons, and it came in his final year during his age 21 season. So looking at, the fit with the Cowboys, who have seemingly been bleeding edge rushers in recent years. They lost to Marcus Lawrence, who has been a horse for them for a long time. Then Chauncey Golston played a ton for them last year. He's off to New York. So they have some interesting options there. I don't think any of them are as interesting for Dynasty and potentially 2025 as Ezeiruaku. The other encouraging aspect with him is that he comes out of college with excellent run defense chops, where if the Cowboys are looking for another workhorse on the edge who can play early downs and rush the passer on later downs as well, Ezeiruaku is probably their best bet, aside from Micah Parsons, of course. So yeah, I'm definitely interested here post draft. Love the landing spot, like his potential as a round 2 pick in the NFL draft. He's right alongside Mykel Williams and Shemar Stewart for me right now in like rookie rankings as that kind of late 3rd round pick, early 4th round pick. Yeah, I think you could probably scoop him up in the 4th. I think that's probably a more realistic range to expect to get him. So yeah, came away feeling pretty good about Ezeiruaku. How about you?
Yeah, about the same. He's kind of like a young version of DeMarcus Lawrence, right? Good run defender that has pass rushing upside.
Yep.
I I wonder how Sam Williams will mix in because I mean, sure he got injured last year, but in his limited playing time as a rookie, he was very efficient and he was a good pass rusher. I think he had 4.5 sacks and I think it was 20% snap share or 22% snap share. So I mean, he was a productive edge rusher, but like you said, Ezeiruaku is definitely a better run defender. So that might get him on early downs. And then I think did they bring Dante Fowler back too?
They did, yeah.
They did. So I mean, it just kind of mixes in. Sure, he had a great season last year, but I'm still not like
Yeah.
Fowler's not a guy that's gonna be like, oh wow, no, he just fits into another rotation. So outside of Parsons, I see it more of like a 3-man rotation. But I think Ezeiruaku looks to be the better run defender. I haven't seen him in the NFL yet, but he has proven to show that like with his grades that he's a better run defender. So I do like the landing spot, and with Sam Williams coming back from an injury, Fowler's getting older. He kind of fits the mold of what DeMarcus Lawrence used to do. So I think it's a great landing spot, and I think late 3rd, early 4th, same sounds about right. Same as like Shemar Stewart.
Yeah, that's the way it kind of felt with Ezeiruaku. Obviously, we're never going to expect these rookies to kind of hit the ground running, and that, like you said, there are some startable options there in Dallas where we don't expect them to play the 800 defensive snaps that Chauncey Golston played last year, right? So there's going to be some other guys that mix in like Sam Williams and like Dante Fowler as well. So that's a good call for sure. Okay, the very next pick in the NFL draft is up next, Joey, and a player that I know you liked a fair bit pre-draft, JT Tuimoloau out of Ohio State, lands with the Indianapolis Colts. What did you think about this landing spot?
I mean, it's still kind of a crowded area. I mean, I think they still have Samson Ebukam under contract, correct? They did lose Dio Odeyingbo, so he kind of fills in where Dio left, right? So you have JT Tuimoloau, you have Samson Ebukam, you have Quiddy Pie, and that's pretty much it. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Latu. Geez, how did I forget about him? So, I mean, he fits into a rotation, which kind of stinks, but it's what the Colts like to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they showed Odeyingbo. He was productive in limited time last year. So he could be somebody maybe you plug in for a bye week, possibly in a good matchup. But more or less, he's a guy you kind of just want to stash, I think, on your taxi squad. If you do draft him, probably not till late 4th, early 5th. I like him still, and obviously the Colts liked him because they took him in the 2nd. But it's still crowded there, and I don't foresee Ebukam being a long-term option there. And Pye, he's been good. He's a good run defender. He hasn't really popped as a pass rusher, but I think he fit Tuimoloau is more like Quiddy Pie than he is a potent edge rusher.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like he's, I think a lot of people look at him and see the sack numbers last year, and he's one that we talked about pre-draft that he was really productive in college, specifically in that final season. He had like 15 sacks, but one of the things that I kind of cautioned about was the production needing to be accompanied by like those higher end pass rush metrics for it to matter at the next level, and he didn't really have that. Even in his final his final year, like pass rush grade was not the best of his career. That came in 2022, and then he kind of plateaued around that sub 80 mark the last 2 seasons. So 56 percentile career pass rush grade, career pass rush metrics beyond that are all below 40th percentile. So fairly unremarkable numbers there. I don't think he's a real threat to like a Latu snaps right now. I love Latu's breakout potential quite a bit this year with Dio Odeyingbo departing, and even this edition of JTT here, like, should most likely put him behind Latu in the pecking order, where, like you mentioned, I think he is kind of that more rotational guy. And, not likely to be IDP relevant year one. Who knows if he gets there year two and beyond, but decent draft capital says that he should at least get a shot down the road. I'm not sure that, he has necessarily the ceiling to be anything more than a late round rookie draft flyer at this point, like you said, to
Right.
mostly serve as that kind of taxi squad stash more than anything right now. Okay, Nic Scourton is up next, formerly out of Texas A&M, now of the Carolina Panthers, who, much like their NFC South rivals, the Atlanta Falcons, recognized a need for pass rush, doubled up with their valuable picks on edge rushers, Scourton being the first target in round two. Now, Scourton is a decent pass rusher. That is one thing, that I liked about him, even though he didn't quite reach the heights that he did at like Purdue in 2023. That year he posted a 90.9 pass rush grade, 42 pressures, 8 sacks, transferred to Texas A&M, finished the year with an 80.6 pass rush grade, 36 pressures, 4 sacks. So obviously not amazing, but he's also just 20 years old and has at least created a solid 90.2 pass rush grade for his career, which ranks 76th percentile. So that's a nice mark. A lot of the pass rush metrics for him are above average. And the main thing too is that Carolina is another team that, is in need of young talent at the position, because right now their starters are Jadeveon Clowney and DJ Wanham. Both are fine options. They'll probably start this year, but they could use more of that young upside there. And I think they get that in the form of Scourton and in even another player that we'll talk about later, Umanmielen. Decent 7.65 prospect score, which is 77th percentile. So 18% chance of top 12, not super likely for that high end ceiling, but 36% chance at top 24. So a little better than 1 in 3 there. And then 51% chance at top 36. So that's like, fourth, fifth round rookie pick for me, depending on scoring and roster needs. I'll take those swings on a player like Scourton in that range, especially with where you have the option for a taxi squad where you can stash him and then hope for that kind of breakout season in year 2, 3, and beyond. Right. So came away feeling pretty good about Scourton. How about you?
Yeah, I like the landing spot for Scourton, absolutely. And like you said, with Clowney and Wanham seems to be constantly injured. Clowney's just a shell of himself. I mean, he's old. He still played well, but honestly, too, like, how great of a landing spot is it where you almost get an instant opportunity to showcase, but you also get to learn from somebody like Clowney. Like, Clowney's been in the league forever. Sure, he's bounced out of a couple of teams, but he's been productive, and he is a very good player. He's a smart player. He knows how to use his length. I mean, for him to teach Scourton everything he knows and to be on a team that looks like they're going to be playing a lot of young players this year, right? They have a couple of veterans, but I don't consider Carolina to be incredibly – I don't know, they're not going to be a playoff team. I don't see them as a threat to anybody, but they do have a lot of potential. And what they need to do is they need to see what they have in this potential. I think this is a year for a lot of those guys. It's either make or break, or learn from the vets and then let your youngsters play. So he could see some year one, probably not, but I think he's a fine stash to have for maybe year 2, year 3 production. So yeah, I think 4th, 5th round is a great swing for Nic Scourton.
Yeah, I'm with you. And yeah, it's interesting. We'll see what happens with Carolina, but I agree. I think there is a lot of young potential with that team, and they could be good down the road, especially if Bryce Young continues to play as
I
well as he did
know.
in the latter half of last
I
season.
really
So
hope Bryce Young really steps it up this year, because
yeah,
I was so happy to see him come back and actually be productive. I
yeah.
was like, oh, I felt for him.
Yeah. Yeah. The league is just better when every NFL team has a good starting quarterback, right? Like,
Right.
nobody wants to see these duds
Right.
out there. So yeah, when you get a first overall pick that starts to show some promise, that's definitely exciting and encouraging. So we got a few more day 2 edges to cover, Joey. A couple more here in round 2 specifically, and one that I was personally a little bit surprised by, Oluwafemi Oladejo out of
Mm.
UCLA. Goes to the Tennessee Titans here, 52nd overall. I guess I didn't realize like he was a consensus second rounder heading into the draft, so he wasn't really on my radar. But what were your
No.
thoughts on Oladejo to Tennessee?
I mean, it's a good landing spot.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really have much in the form of a pass rush. I mean, Harold Landry's gone now. He has incredible length. Like, honestly, if you look at the picture you have right here for his player profile, his arms are long. I think he has 33-inch arms.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's incredibly athletic, and he has great length, and he has good bend off the edge. He needs polish. Like, he needs to add to his game. He needs to add a little bit better play recognition, but he's in a great landing spot. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I don't really foresee Tennessee being a competitive team either this year. So he may see plenty of time on the field. So 50% snap share isn't out of the window. So will he be productive with it? That's the question. Is he a good player? Sure, he's a second round pick, but I need to see him be able to do it. So I would take a swing on him probably in the fifth just because of his draft capital and landing spot. Am I excited about how he played in college? Not as much, but he does have a lot of it. He has a good athletic profile. He has great length. So
Mm-hmm.
he could see the field. And that at that point, that's all you're looking for with a fifth round pick is somebody who's going to see the field and hopefully get you some points at least a week or two.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're right. There is opportunity here in Tennessee, and obviously the investment in him is important as well, right? A second round pick is key to getting opportunities in the NFL, and at the very least, maybe he could fall into some production, right? But yeah, like I don't know. Part of the reason like he wasn't on my radar was because his pass rush metrics coming out are abysmal to say the least, right? Like
Great model
60.
score.
Yeah. Yeah, like 61.9 career pass rush grade, ranked fourth percentile since 2016, 10% career win rate. That was ninth percentile. 2.01 expected sack rate was first percentile. So, the last time we had a day two prospect with numbers that bad was Chad Thomas back in 2018 when he was like, I think the 67th overall pick by the Browns, and he lasted just over one season in the NFL. And
Nice.
even he had slightly better marks and was at least a third rounder at the time. So I don't know. I'm clearly missing something here with Oladejo's like eval. We don't have the athletic testing numbers for him, but I do agree. I think there is obviously some athletic upside there. I don't know what Tennessee knows, obviously, but this one felt more like a head scratcher to me. Like, who knows?
Mhm.
Maybe he turns into, like a Josh Sweat who had really poor numbers coming out, but he was at least a day three pick, and even still, that's like a 2% chance of that happening based on just all of his numbers coming out. So I'm not interested in him for IDP. I'm probably not spending a rookie pick on him. If you find out, what the appeal is, then please let me know because yeah, anyone listening right now, because as of right now, I don't get it. I do, like what you mentioned, Joey, like there is opportunity there and there's an investment there. I just worry that the Titans kind of missed on this one, but we'll see. I'll be happy to be wrong if Oladejo works out for sure. Okay, let's move on to a player that I absolutely understand the appeal with. Mike Green, 59th overall pick for the Baltimore Ravens. Although, clearly some red flags there stemming from like sexual assault allegations, which caused a first round talent to fall to the late second. Joey, I know, he was your edge to pre-draft. He was right there for me as well with James Pearce as kind of like a 2A, 2B for this class. So what did you think of the fall, like the landing spot with the Ravens? Are you still interested in Green for IDP?
I am interested. I mean, in front of him is Odafe Owe and Kyle Van Noy. And Kyle Van Noy
Mm-hmm.
is, 34 this year? Sure, he had 12 and a half sacks last year, but he can't last forever, right?
Yeah.
And although he's been his best player in his 30s,
Right.
but he's old. So Mike Green kind of fits into Baltimore's. It just keeps extending Baltimore's timeline. I don't know how they keep doing it, but they just keep extending their Super Bowl timeline every year. They just do so well in the draft,
Mm-hmm.
and it bothers me because it's like we lost to Harbaugh in the Harbaugh Bowl. It's like
Right.
that always I've hated. Well, I don't hate Baltimore actually. I actually kind of like Baltimore, but I've had this little bit of disdain for them ever since. But Mike he's a great player, and I think Owe finally broke out last year, but I don't think Green's going to have that long before he can be up to Owe. I don't think it's going to take him as long as it took Owe. It took Owe a few seasons, and Kyle Van Noy's there. He's a great veteran to learn from, to model the way you conduct yourself as well, because Van Noy's never been in trouble. And
Hmm.
Harbaugh's the kind of guy he takes no crap. So Mike Green is going to have to get his head on his shoulders, make sure he gets all of the bad vibes behind him. But Baltimore's always a great landing spot for an edge defender, especially if they're going to have the opportunity to play. And he's going to have the opportunity to play year one. They're going to want to see what they have with him because he's too good to keep off the field.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like as long as he, keeps his nose clean and stays out of trouble, like they got an absolute steal here in the
Mm-hmm.
late second. Like he did drop a little bit in the prospect model where he was pre-draft as like a potential top 20 to 25 pick. Draft capital is taken into account in the model for reasons like this, where there are off-field concerns that are usually reflected in how the NFL values these guys. So that dropped Green to like 8.58 prospect score, which is still 94th percentile. And encouraging for his IDP potential. So it's like 38% success rate for top 12 with at least an 8.5, 71% for top 24, 81% for top 36. So he has the chance here to be one of the better values at the position in rookie drafts because so many other edges were taken ahead of him. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not a mistake, I'm going to let happen in my leagues. Like for me, he's a late second, early third for me in rookie drafts right now with James Pearce Jr. As that kind of high end talent with, like you said, only Odafe Owe and Kyle Van Noy as competition for snaps in year one. That doesn't even concern me that much for 2025, let alone beyond this season, right? So
Right.
if Harbaugh and company can keep this guy's nose clean and, he has the upside to be a consistent IDP option for us that is going to make him pretty valuable to me, especially considering that he's already proved to be a top tier run defender as well. He has that every down ability to boost that floor for our edges. So I'm definitely still high on Mike Green. Hopefully, he could stay out of shit and just be a good NFL player. Because yeah, this one could definitely work out here for IDP.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, rounding out the first 10 edge defenders drafted now, heading into round 3, it's Ashton Gillotte out of Louisville. Goes 66th overall to the Kansas City Chiefs, and not a player that we covered pre-draft, Joey, but one that I think is worth covering here. Coming out of the draft, right? So even just with the context that the Chiefs were kind of in need of adding some depth to that edge group, right now it's George Karlaftis as kind of the clear leader in the clubhouse. And then things get a little shakier after that. It's Mike Dana, Charles Omenihu, Felix Anaduke Uzama, who hasn't quite hit yet, Malik Herring, Janarius Robinson. Like it's a pretty uninspiring group for a
Mm-hmm.
team with like Super Bowl aspirations, right? Like I'm not
Right.
sure that Gillotte, is the necessarily the answer either. I think he can be fine, but he's not exactly like this high end talent who is going to become an immediate starter. Looking at some of the numbers, 67th percentile pass rush grade, 57th percentile win rate, 55th percentile pressure rate, 77th percentile run defense grade, 90th percentile head of lettuce, though. Great hair. I wish I had a better picture for this graphic, but definitely has that going for him at the very least. But no, like I don't hate his chances of succeeding in the NFL and for IDP. He ended up with a similar score as Ezeiruaku, so can't hate on him too much, even if I think there's more encouraging context for Ezeiruaku and a better situation. It's not terrible for Gillotte. Like he'll probably be in that like 6th to 7th round rookie pick range for me at this point, with the intention of kind of stashing him on the taxi squad,
Mm-hmm.
or if your leagues don't draft that many rounds, just kind of somebody to grab afterwards and again stash on the taxi squad. But where are you at with him? Because I'll be interested. We didn't talk about him pre-draft.
Same. I actually just drafted him in the 6th round of one of my rookie drafts,
Nice.
but I'm not overly excited about him. But I've had him on one of my Campus to Canton teams, my Campus to Canton IDP teams, and I drafted him 3 years ago. So not last year, but in 2024, he was super productive, and it'd be nice to see some of that production. But like you said, his pressure rate isn't really predictive of that. But still, he's fine. I mean, he got early third round draft capital. It's literally like a late second,
Yep.
and he's on a very productive team who's going to be ahead in a lot of games, which offers plenty of pass rushing upside. Dana doesn't really offer much pass rushing upside. He offers some, as you said, with Felix Awuzama Anaduke, if I said that correctly. He has been not overly inspiring, not terrible, but not overly inspiring. So they don't really have like that eye-popping edge too. So Karlaftis, yes.
Mhm.
Chris Jones in the middle, sure, but you don't have that other guy on the edge. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him mix in year one a little bit. And
Mhm.
if he can get coached up a little bit by Spags, I mean, sure, it's not out of the realm to see him overtake any of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely going to be kind of a name to keep an eye on here, just because of the some of the other options at the position, and it looks like a softer path to snaps than a lot of these kind of later round options here at the position. But we did add a bonus name here, Joey, just as we did the rookie linebackers last week, and it's a player that we talked about and liked in our pre-draft episode, as was the case with our bonus linebacker Chris Paul Jr. as well. Princely Umanmielen out of Ole Miss goes 77th overall as a third rounder to the Carolina Panthers. What did you think about this spot for Princely, Joey?
I mean, it's another good spot. I mean, he gets to learn from Clowney, like I said before. I don't think he had. Well, honestly, sure, they drafted Scourton before him and a whole round before, but that doesn't mean that Scourton automatically gets the first shot. I mean, they have to come into camp, and whoever's going to be the better player in camp is going to get the first shot. But it's a nice young duo for the future for Carolina. I mean, Clowney and Wanham aren't going to be there forever. Who knows if they're going to even be healthy this year?
Mhm.
So it'd be nice to see both of these guys get a little bit of run as a rookie. But whoever really wins out for that edge 3 spot as a rookie, I'm more interested in. But I still like the landing spot for both players long term.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. We both loved Umanmielen pre-draft. I believe we both had him inside our top 5, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly. Because, yeah, the dude is a baller rushing the passer, right? Like 94th percentile career pass rush grade, 86th percentile expected sack rate, and 81st percentile in both win rate and pressure rate. So he ended up scoring 8.05 in the prospect model with his updated draft capital, which is 87th percentile. Success rate for edge prospects with at least an 8 put him at about 26% chance for top 12, 53% for top 24, 74% for top 36. So that's about as ideal as it gets for what the 11th edge drafted in this
right.
class. We talked about the situation in Carolina, and between Umanmielen and Scourton, they've got some nice pieces on that defensive line now that can be impactful for them in the future. Maybe as soon as this season, we'll see. But usually these are going to be more long-term focused given the draft capital, right? But that being said, like as far as round 3 edges go, Umanmielen might be like one of my favorites for
Mm-hmm.
IDP since like Chase Winovich and what feels like forever ago. I think it
Oh,
was
I know.
2019, I want to say. What was like I thought was a really good third round pick. So there's absolutely potential here with Princely, and I've slotted him in as like a fringe 4th to 5th rounder right now, just because I love the profile and like that long term potential in Carolina as well.
Yep, and I agree. But the best part with him is, like, I've done a couple of drafts already, and he's just not getting taken. Like, he's a
Yeah,
guy you can really attack your other positions and then say, you know, I'm going to grab this guy
right.
off of waivers after the draft, and you probably won't have trouble doing it.
Yep.
I mean, maybe it's just me and you that like him so much, but but I don't know. It's like nobody really talks about the guy at all. So it's I appreciate it because I think I have him on every single one of my teams, but
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's nice enough upside there, and what looks like a decent ceiling compared to most like third round picks that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm absolutely interested to try to, yeah, maybe you could let him fall and just scoop him up post draft kind of thing. So definitely somebody to keep an eye on. But Joey, those are the players, but now on to the rankings. So maybe what we'll do, give me your top 10 or top 11, I guess, since I feel both of us have Umanmielen ahead of at least one of these players that we covered today. So who do you got here for your rankings? However order you want to go, 1 to 10
All right,
or
I'll
1 to
start
11.
1 to 10. All right, 1, Abdul Carter, still.
Yep.
2, James Pearce. 3, Mike Green.
Mhm.
4, Mykel Williams, reluctantly, but I'm putting him there. 5, Shemar Stewart. 6 is Nic Scourton. 7 is Princely. Oh, I'm sorry, no, Ezeiruaku. And then
Okay.
8 is Princely, Umanmielen.
Mhm.
And then I have JT Tuimoloau. I have Galati, then Oladejo.
Nice. Yeah, we're
Oladejo.
very, very similar. It looks like Joey, which not really a surprise. I know, we kind of look at these guys similarly. So yeah, it for me, Abdul Carter, James Pearce, Mike Green, those are the top three for me. So we're exactly the same there. And then 4 and 5, exactly the same as well. Mykel Williams and Shemar Stewart. The only difference, the first difference that is I have Ezeiruaku at 6 and Scourton at 7. It looked like you had Scourton at 6 and Ezeiruaku at 7, right? So we're flipped there, but Princely Umanmielen at 8 for both of us. And then I had Gillotte ahead of Tuimoloau. You have Tuimoloau over Gillotte, and then we both have Oladejo as 11 there. So very similar ranks. Hopefully that helps people kind of navigate your rookie drafts a little bit more, but that is a wrap for us. So thank you to anyone listening or watching on YouTube. If you'd be so kind as to like and subscribe to the channel, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. I know it's asking a lot, but would greatly appreciate the support, as so many of you have been kind enough to do already. So thank you again. And a massive thank you to Joey the Tooth for giving up some of his time, both before and after the draft every year, to do this with me, to talk pass rushers. Joey, you're the man. Thank you, brother.
I'll do it every year we can.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I would look forward to that. And before you go too, let everybody know what you have going on over at Football Guys as well.
Let's see. At Football Guys, I am updating my projections, including rookies, this weekend. And so that'll update my projections for Dynasty, preseason redraft, and that'll also update my rankings. And then me and Kyle just dropped our top 40 IDP big board. We did the actual board, and then the second dropped with all the player blurbs. So that's nice. We broke it into 2-part this year. And then in season, I'm going to be covering the same I've been doing over the past few years, and that is the weekly streamers at the edge position. Usually goes pretty deep, but it's based off a matchup. And it's just, I mean, if it's one of those positions, maybe you punted the edge position, you need somebody different every week. I'm just giving you guys that are either on your bench or on waivers that have great matchups that you can potentially take advantage of. So that'll be going weekly.
Nice. Yeah, that's always a good one to look at, right? Because I love that you go into a lot of the matchups and dive into that stuff. And yeah, it's for deeper formats a little bit, right? But those are the kind of leagues that need that kind of help, right? To find those guys that have the good matchups and can potentially hit for us. So I know you've had some success there in finding the right streamers for each week. So that's been a nice one to follow as well. As for me, this week, what did I do? Well, last week, IDP rookie rankings, they're out on the site. IDP dynasty rankings came out this week. IDP Superflex plus IDP rookie draft walkthrough. That video came out. There's a 1QB version out there as well on the YouTube. Wrote up some of my favorite rookie sleepers, both for offense and for IDP on PFF.com. And then next week, we'll be looking to cover the rookie safeties with my guy, John Glosser, on the podcast. So I'm excited for that one as well. Be sure to check it out. And until then, peace out.